Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
One person who tested positive for COVID-19 in Saskatchewan has died. It was a person in the 30 to 39 age group in our northwest zone. There are 14 new cases in the province, with 2 in the northwest. One of those is in the immediate Lloydminster area. 62 people are in hospital, with 3 in the northwest. 313 cases are considered active in Saskatchewan, with 37 in the northwest. More than 1.2 million vaccine doses have been administered in the province, with over 73,000 of those in our zone. The City of Lloydminster is seeking the community's input as they begin to prepare the 2022 municipal budget. The Your Voice survey is open to all property owners and residents in the city. The city wants people to share their voice in 7 different areas in the municipal budget.
People often ask, well, can I have more policing? Can we have a safer community? Yes, we can, but there is a cost to that. Fire protection, we want to pave more roads, we want more water and sewer fixed. There's all costs to those items. And same with recreation as well. What would it cost to have another skating surface or enhance the ball diamonds and add more ball diamonds in our city? And this is an opportunity for people to say, okay, if I was willing to pay 2% more in taxes, what would that get me? Or what would it cost me to have that enhanced service?
With the COVID-19 pandemic, the city hasn't held any in-person engagements in over a year, and this gives them the chance to hear from residents, even if it's not face-to-face.
And I haven't sat and had a lot of visits with a lot of people that I'd like to have had. And this is one opportunity we were able to get people to give us input. And certainly it's a great way of looking at a variety of items, because there's many different pieces to that.
The City of Lloydminster has held Your Voice surveys in years past, but they want to remind residents how big of an impact it can really have on not only the budget this year, but for years to come.
People have wish lists, and there's other times we often deal in reality here, and people would wish for bigger budgets, but sometimes we just can't get everything done in one year. So planning again is also important. So if we don't get it this year, can we work it into the 3 to 5 year plan? Because streets need to be repaired. We want to see increased recreational opportunities as our population continues to grow.
The survey is open until September 6th and is available at yourvoiceloyd.ca. With the heat wave in Lloydminster officially over, a fire ban remains in effect for the rest of the province. With some moisture expected this week, the dry conditions can still be a major problem. Case in point, wildfires. Connor Chan has more.
While temperatures are getting back to July normals, the heat wave left most of the province very dry, which is a dangerous sign of many fires spreading fast in Saskatchewan.
It's going to take more than 1 millimeter or 3 millimeters of rain to really make much difference in that. You add on the addition of thunderstorm possibilities and major storms like that, and lightning strikes and different things like that also pose a risk. When the relative humidity is lower than the daily temperature, so if, for example, if the temperature is 27 degrees and the relative humidity is 21%, there's a major chance of fire. So we watch those types of things closely for those crossover events.
According to the Saskatchewan government, there are currently 23 active fires in the province, with 220 so far this year. And with many people getting ready to go camping and quadding, being fire smart is crucial to make sure prevention steps are taken, while also being aware of the many weather conditions that can cause a wildfire.
We always advise people to make sure they've got some kind of fire extinguisher with them at all times for those types of events, because it does happen quite easily, and to pay attention to them. Not too far north of here, when you get north of Paradise Hill into that Bronson recreation area and all north from there, it's very dense, and those lightning strikes do happen and start fires in there.
Information on the current fire ban and other wildfire activity can be found on either the Saskatchewan or Alberta government's websites. Connor Chan, Primetime Local News.
With restrictions being lifted and the vaccination rollout plan in place, previous summer activities are making their way back into the border city. Outdoor yoga is coming back, with the first class being this Thursday night. And so far, the online reaction has been a hit. Our Shelby Clark has more.
I'm speaking with Sarah Elizabeth about outdoor yoga being brought back this summer. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Shelby.
Now, was outdoor yoga allowed last summer? How long has it been exactly?
I think there was outdoor yoga last summer. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it back this summer, just as we're starting to develop as a community again. So it'll be nice to get together without all of the pressure of a formal yoga studio.
In previous years, how was support from community members with outdoor yoga?
I think it was fantastic. A couple of friends of mine have run it in the past, and as far as I know, they were very successful, and it ran all the way into the fall, to end of September, I believe.
Do you believe with COVID-19 and with vaccinations and everything involved that there will still be the same amount of support for this summer?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, I've received a lot of interest. And then again, just with there not being like the formal pressure and all of the rules that we have to follow for an indoor setting, bringing it outside is the perfect way just to start to reintegrate everybody to be in groups again, breathing the fresh air, all that good stuff.
Yes, could you actually expand a bit more on how reaction was like online from residents since posting about this outdoor yoga?
Yeah, definitely. I had posted it in probably about 10 different groups around Lloydminster, and I've had several personal messages just clarifying, like, is it okay for beginners, which it totally is, and just lots of comments, like people tagging other people and saying, yes, let's go, I can't wait. And yeah, so I'm hoping and expecting for a really good turnout. So I have to make sure that first class is really awesome so that word of mouth spreads and gets lots of people to come.
What made you want to bring these classes back for residents?
Well, for myself, speaking from a personal level, it's been a long period of kind of sitting and waiting. And for me, it's like kind of just this expression of being happy again. And like we've all, been following everything. And now it's like kind of just time to celebrate and celebrate being together and celebrate being outside. So that's really what it was for me, was like kind of this external creative expression that I'm really excited to be able to offer. And yeah, yoga is always the greatest way because everybody loves yoga or they want to try yoga. And yeah, I can't wait.
For people wanting to join for the first time and experience your classes, what can they expect exactly that you'd like to say for coming up on Thursday?
Well, I like to incorporate a decent amount of relaxation into my classes, and being outdoors is the perfect setting for that. So there'll be relaxation at the beginning, relaxation meditation at the end. I've got some really cool sound healing tools that I'm really excited to use. And just the middle section will be just moving and breathing. And people have been asking me, like, is it beginner friendly? And yes, it definitely is. We don't do anything crazy like legs behind the head or handstands or anything like that. So it is beginner friendly.
Would you be able to give a little bit more information just for people that haven't been able to see this online about when and where it will be and what they need to bring to participate in your classes?
Sure, it's Thursdays at 6:30. Weather permitting. I've posted that I'll update a comment kind of on the day of if it's a go, but unless it's raining, cats and dogs, I'll be there at 6:15 setting up, and a mat, a small blanket or sweater just for during the relaxation if it's like cool or windy or something like that, and a water. And I always say bring a friend.
Perfect. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add for residents to know about before the first class coming up?
Yeah, well, I am a fairly seasoned yoga instructor. I've been teaching for just about 10 years now, so we'll be able to modify things for you, for beginners, for injuries, for things like that. And yeah, I hope to see you there.
Thanks again so much for joining us today, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now we're Connor Chan. We'll take a look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Much cooler today as we see some winds kind of starting to pick up a little bit, as well as some cloud coverage. Could start to see some rain later tonight as well, around between now and probably overnight as well, as we are expecting a little bit of showers overnight, but lots of cloud coverage today, little to no sun. So a little bit of an interesting change, but we are going to be back up into the 20s tomorrow as that warm air starts to make its way back into the prairies. Looking at other areas right now, 18 in Vermilion, St. Paul, and Vegreville, 19 in Bonnyville, as well as 19 in North Battleford Battleford, 18 in St. Walburg and Meadow Lake as well, with 17 in Green Lake and 19 for Pierceland. Take a look to the satellite radar map right now. A lot of activity making its way coming kind of upwards into through Vermilion, so we are going to see some rain potentially in those coming hours or so. Starting probably from right now is when we could start to see it, as well as into those overnights, like I mentioned, that we could see some rain making its way over into those southern parts of Saskatchewan, which I'm kind of blocking at the moment here. But it is going to be some shower-filled days in the next coming days this week here. Looking at North Battleford, 12 degrees overnight with some cloud coverage, and 24 tomorrow with the daytime high, where we'll start to see a little bit more sun as things start to kind of warm up a little bit here. As I mentioned, we're going to be back into those 20s, so 25 tomorrow for Cold Lake with that same sun and cloud mixture throughout the day. And then for us here in Lloydminster, we could see some of those thunderstorms and some more rain overnight tonight, and then we'll go back to 25 degrees for tomorrow with our daytime high there. And then as we look into the next 3 days, we are going to see those temperatures start to climb a little bit here. So we'll see 26 on Thursday, and then clear skies expected for Friday with that high of 29 degrees. So we are going to start to get a little bit warmer as we get into the weekend. Of course, it was a much chillier day today. Now we are continuing our fishing contest that we're holding here at Primetime Local News. So it is in honor of National Fishing Week. You have a chance to win one of 5 fishing rod packages courtesy of Catch Fishing. To enter, go to our Primetime Local News Facebook page and post a photo of you with your fish, with your catch, and include the size and where you caught it. All photos will be entered to win, and the contest does close this Friday at noon on July 9th. That is a first look at your weather. We'll have more Primetime Local News after the break.
Welcome back. A Central Alberta company is using drones with the goal of helping farmers in a new way. Landview Drones is spending the summer researching how to use the technology to spot spray against problem weeds. Jillian Code has more.
I'm joined today by Marcus Weber, who is a co-founder of Landview Drones. Now, drones have been popping up a lot more frequently on farms, whether it be for checking fences or field scouting. It's now evolving into helping with spraying. What can you tell me about this?
The imaging with drones has kind of been developing over the last 4 to 5 years already, and there's a lot of good sensors out there. There's still some development necessary on that, so we are doing some work on just imaging where specific weeds are. I know there's other companies that are focusing on other weeds, but our very specific focus is on Canada thistle. So we're using multispectral cameras to image where there's patches of thistle. And then we're going to go take drones and spray exactly those patches. So we're working on that entire workflow as a way to kind of build that workflow for other weeds as well.
Why is Canada thistle the weed that you guys are targeting?
So in our area, Canada thistle is very important commercially. I mean, there is a lot of pressure from thistle, and it's a yield robber. It also has deep roots, so it can survive a lot of herbicide treatments without ever really having any control impact. And because of those deep roots, we find it really interesting as a first test case, and because it's patchy. So it makes sense to spray those with a drone where you're only spraying 10% of the field rather than the whole field. Whereas with more common weeds that are spread across the entire field, it still makes sense to use a ground sprayer.
What are the benefits of using drone spraying compared to, say, conventional ground spraying?
Farming's complex, right? So in some circumstances, it's a lifesaver. If you're spraying on a mountainside, you're spraying in a rice paddy, in water that has snakes in it. I mean, this beats walking through that, and it lets you access areas that you otherwise can't access. Here in Western Canada, that's less the case, although we do have some of that as well. So I could see spraying a lot of pastures, vegetation control along waterways, that type of thing, ultimately. And then on broadacre farming, I think the real promise is for smaller patch spraying. The drones that we have now, like this Agris that I've got sitting behind me, they will cover quite a few acres already. You can also swarm them, so you can fly 5 of them at the same time. And by doing that, you really increase your acreage coverage by 5 times.
What are the results of your research showing you so far? I know the research isn't done, but what are you finding?
Well, we were really pleasantly surprised with the technology. I used to be a bit of a downer on spraying drones just because they are small. This has a 20-liter tank compared to a ground sprayer that seems pretty darn small. But I'm very impressed with the spray patterns, the flow meters, all the technology that's built into this. I mean, this particular model has pulse width modulation on what is essentially a front virtual boom, and then 2 more pumps for the back boom. So the amount of technology that's already built into these and how easy they are to operate has been probably the biggest surprise so far. We haven't really got into much spraying yet. There are other regulatory issues we need to get through so that we can get operating them routinely and commercially. But within a year or two, I suspect they will become much more commonplace, especially as smaller models can be operated in swarms. 10-liter models, for example, for farmers in a swarm of 5, I think might work quite well.
That's really interesting. So like in the future, when drone spraying is more commonplace, you think farmers will still do like the big tank for, you know, the very common ones, but then kind of do spot spraying with the drones?
I suspect we will still have ground sprayers for a burn off, for example. The drone still requires a lot of battery changes. And until we have much larger drones, it's going to be much more practical to use your ground rig.
Thank you so much for joining me. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for your interest.
Now we'll take a look at your egg prices. The NGCOA and their member courses are kicking off the Take a Kid to the Course program. Kids ages 16 and under can golf for free when accompanied by a paying adult. As Evan Kenny explains, this is for the growth of the game.
From July 5th to the 11th, hundreds of National Golf Course Owners Association of Canada member courses will be participating in the Take a Kid to the Course program.
We realized years ago that there was a need to get kids introduced to the game of golf. And the best way to introduce kids to golf, really to anyone to golf, is for someone to kind of hold their hand and move them into the game. I don't know if you're a golfer, but everybody that's a golfer can tell you who introduced them to the game. One of the courses participating is Rolling Green Fairways.
Really, it's all just about promoting junior golf, getting kids out, having fun in a non-pressured environment. They are the future of the game. We want them to be out here having a good time and getting comfortable with.
In 2020, the NGCOA found a 25% year-over-year increase for the month of July across the country. In the same month, Saskatchewan saw an increase of 40%, while Alberta increased by almost 22%.
Juniors, they kind of follow that number. So as more adults play, they're bringing the kids to play.
If there was one good thing that came out of COVID, most kids' sports were canceled, so that we did see a huge influx in interest, in junior interest. We want to keep that sort of maintained.
Being right after Canada Day, everybody's out of school. This is a great time to get the kids started and hopefully playing for the rest of the summer.
The goal of the program is to continue this growth for the future.
So growing the game is so important to our industry, because if you just leave it alone, old guys like me start getting too old to play, and next thing you know, you're losing your client base. So maybe play 3 holes, play 4 holes, play 9 if you can. But all of a sudden that kid goes, you know what, I really like that. I want to do that again. And that's what's important to us.
Participants also have the chance to win one of 5 $100 gift cards or one of 5 leaf blowers by posting a picture at their favorite course using the hashtag KidsGolfFree. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Looking right now, still sitting around 17 degrees. It's a much cooler day today, as a lot of that cloud coverage and rain have been making their way through parts of Alberta, and we could see that ourselves here as well as overnight tonight. So looking ahead out west, still in the 20-degree marks in Rocky Mountain House and in Red Deer, along with Athabasca, 18 degrees in Edmonton and Edson, 26 for Jasper right now. Moving over into areas in Saskatchewan, 16 in Saskatoon with 19 in North Battleford, 18 in Prince Albert and Meadow Lake, and 16 for Melfort. Looking at northern Saskatchewan right now, 19 degrees in La Loche, Buffalo Narrows in La Ronge, with 21 up in Uranium City, 19 degrees in South End as well. Northern Alberta a little bit warmer than most parts today, as we see 23 up at high level in Peace River, with 19 for Fort McMurray. Slave Lake also sitting at 23, with Grand Prairie sitting at that 24-degree mark. Also fairly warm in southern Alberta as well, as we see that 25 in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, and 27 there. Sticking around for a little while longer, and 22 in Calgary, and then 23 degrees continuing on into Banff. Moving over into those southern Saskatchewan areas, we could see lots of rain making their way through in the coming days or so, as they're expected lots of rain over the course of the next couple of days. Regina in particular could see around up to over 30 millimeters by the time we hit the weekend, so lots of rain expected for some parts of Saskatchewan there. And looking ahead, lots of cloud coverage continuing on out in the whole country here. 15 degrees in Winnipeg, 27 in Quebec City, 32 in Toronto, so they're still getting some of those warm temperatures back from last week there. 21 in Vancouver right now, with a lot of that cloud coverage still hovering over in Edmonton and Regina. 17 in Yellowknife, and 22 all the way up in Whitehorse. Now, as we take a look for tomorrow here, we are going to warm up quite a bit here. So today was the only cool day expected here in the city here. So we are going to see 25 degrees for tomorrow, a little bit more cloud coverage as well. And we're going to see a little bit more sun than we did today, because we did see little to none of that throughout the day. So 26 in St. Paul, Lac La Biche, and Bonnievale, 25 up in Colt Lake, 27 in Macklin, 24 for North Battleford, 25 in Maidstone for tomorrow, with 24 in Meadow Lake and in St. Walburg as well. Now, as we take a look here to the next 7 days, we are going to see temperatures climb a little bit higher into Saturday at least. So 26 on Thursday. We're going to see lots of high pressure making its way back into Lloydminster, as we're going to see some clear skies on Friday and Saturday, with 29 degrees and 30 for Saturday. And then we're going to kind of taper off just a little bit there. So we're going to get back to our normal average temperatures there, as we see on Sunday and Monday, 24 and 25 degrees. We'll still see a little bit more clouds coming back in from a nice weekend of some clear skies and warm temperatures. 26 on Tuesday, and we usually average around 23 as our daytime high for the month of July, and then 11 for our daytime lows. So we're right around where we should be for the month of July. Of course, we did have that heat wave, of course, a few weeks ago, but this will, like I said, be the only cool day that we'll see today, and the rest of the week will be very warm. That's a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news after the break.
Welcome back, everybody, to this week's edition of Pet Project. I'm joined once again with Becca Lawrence. Becca, how are you guys doing today?
We're doing really good. Not hot anymore, so we're really good.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. You know, before we talk about the cat real quick, you brought it up, so let's mention it. Thanks to everybody who helped, get fans to the SPCA last week.
Yes.
It was super hot in there, you guys were saying, and everybody was in a bit of distress. But the community came together, and you guys got a ton of donations for fans.
Yes, we did. We even have just a couple extra. We seem to go through them fairly quick here, so we will have extras for when we need them again. So it was amazing how many people came through for us.
Which is absolutely wonderful, because now hopefully next year when, we get another heat wave, you guys hopefully won't have to put out that all points bulletin in the middle of it. So that's great to hear. Beautiful. And since, she seems to be getting a little rambunctious there, she's moving around, who do we have this week to showcase?
This pretty lady here is Brew. So when she came into the shelter, she actually came in on National Beer Day. So she got named Brew, and her babies all got named after different types of beer. So we had a couple, we had a Budweiser and a Coors and all that fun stuff. So we just had a little bit of fun with it. And so she came in. So she is finally up for adoption. All of her babies have found their homes now. And so we're just, we're looking for a home for her now.
Beautiful. And she seems really friendly, like she was just hanging out there, and she's pit-puttering around now playing.
Yeah.
But for the most part, she seems like a pretty chill cat, am I to assume?
Yes, yeah. She's a little bit picky when it comes to making friends, but other than that, she's quite affectionate with people.
Perfect. So if anybody out there, maybe wants to make friends with her, you could stop by and test the waters a little bit, see how the friendship sparks would be lovely. Yeah. Perfect. And so we spoke about it a little bit last week, Becca, but you guys are still dealing with, a large influx of animals right now. And, we definitely put out the message that you guys need as many fosters as you can get. And you were saying that you're still looking for some people. Is that correct?
Yeah, we just keep seeming to have a bunch of kittens coming in, and we're running out of fosters. We understand it's summertime and people are wanting to go camping. It's something that we want to let our fosters know that they don't have to worry if they want to go camping and they want to take a crate full of kittens. We're happy with that too. It's something that we don't want to obviously restrict you to having to stay home all the time. So we can supply you with all of that stuff. If you need a crate to take a few kittens with you in the camper, then we're happy to do that. So, and then even some of our cats are a lot of them are coming down with the upper respiratory. So it's just basically a kitty cold. And I mean, if you've been in the shelter, you know that it's not the best shelter and there's not a lot of ventilation. So it kind of tends to go through a little bit. So even if that's something that you are okay with fostering a cat to give medication to, then we're just as happy with that as well.
Beautiful. All right. So if anybody out there, obviously, you want to help out a little sick kitty or one that needs a little extra space. I know it is getting a little crammed in there right now. So certainly stop on by, while we're on the topic of fostering and kitties and stuff, maybe you're the type of person who loves playing with kitties, but you don't want to commit to, taking in an animal for 15 plus years. Well, you could foster a kitty and you can play with it while it's super cute and young, and then, give it back when you're done with it, so to speak. Yeah. Not to be a little blunt, but you know exactly what I mean.
That's
beautiful.
Perfect, yeah.
Yep. So we have another fundraiser coming up, Becca, that we were talking about off camera, which sounds really exciting because they're working with one of the companies I really like in town, which is The Scoop. So it's summertime. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So currently they're fundraising for another one right now. So they are very community oriented. So we couldn't appreciate their kindness even more. So yeah, it's going to be mid-July. I don't have an exact date yet, but yes, we are good. They're going to have a flavor of the week for us on, I believe it's Wednesdays, but I could be wrong. But yeah, it's a fresh fundraiser. So we're just getting all the details hammered out. But yeah, they're really going to work with us and do another fundraiser for us. So it's really fantastic that our community is all coming out for us now that COVID's kind of settling down a little bit.
That's absolutely wonderful. So obviously everybody stay posted. You're able to support the SPCA and get ice cream. Two wonderful things I think we can all agree we enjoy doing. So we're unfortunately out of time right now, Becca, but I want to thank you. I want to thank Brew. Looks like she, got busy. She ran off.
Yeah.
Cat things to attend to, I understand. Thank you for stopping by anyways, Brew, and thank you, Becca, for chatting with us. And we'll speak with you guys again next week.
Perfect. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Manage your waste and recyclables with Quick Pick Waste Disposal. 100% locally owned and proud to serve and support the communities we call home. Quick Pick, the convenient solution to avoid pollution.
If you're hitting the roads this summer for an Alberta road trip, you might want to check out the Rumble Alberta Touring Challenge. It's a new tool that helps you find some hidden gems across the province. I'm joined with Sheila Willis to talk a little bit more about this. So Sheila, can you just tell me, what is the Rumble Alberta Touring Challenge?
Rumble Alberta is a tourism initiative led by Canadian Motorcycle Tourism Association. And don't let that fool you, because it is for all rubber tire traffic and all age groups. What we've done is created route maps at rumblealberta.com. There's 44 different routes, each with their own set of attractions and services, places to stay, etc. So what we're asking people to do is buy an event ticket and start taking selfies along one of those routes or multiple routes. And at the end of the season, being October 3rd, we've got a whole whack of really cool prizes to give away. So it's let's get out and explore Alberta.
So for these challenges, people have to buy the pass, as you mentioned. So how can people go about doing that? And then kind of what are some of these prizes, or what are some of the challenges that people will have to do along the routes?
Okay, so the event pass is $100, and that's good for all routes all summer long. And what it does is allows you to participate for the prizes, but also we have an ever-growing number of businesses offering specials to event pass holders. So for instance, I mean, we have everything ranging from restaurants giving discounts to both trail rides up in the Jasper region and also down in the Banff region, offering 15% off their rides. So a huge variety. So they would buy their purchase their event pass at rumblealberta.com. Now, for those that don't want to buy a pass, they can use the maps at no charge. They just are not eligible for prizes and specials.
So you mentioned that there's 44 different routes taking people kind of all across Alberta. How did this idea kind of come to be, and what are some of the cool gems that you that are on this that you think people should check out?
So one of the things that we have are all of the old historic grain elevators. I don't know, I'm a historian, so that sort of stuff thrills me. Also, a lot of people tour Alberta looking for those big icons. The huge mushrooms in Vilna, there's potatoes down south, like there's a wide variety of big pierogies. So they can go to those and take their selfies. But we've also got out of the way places, like I live in the Slave Lake region over by Smith, and there's a really nice old church that's still open, but it's just on the corner in the middle of nowhere that you can go find it, right? So from well-known sites to little-known sites, that's what we're trying to get on here.
And when I was
so people can either return to something they've seen already before or find something absolutely new.
And one thing I noticed when I was going through it is that it's not taking you down, a main highway. This is kind of taking you a little out of the way to see things you might not normally see if you're just driving between Edmonton and here in Lloydminster, or vice versa and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what was kind of the idea behind this, and how did this kind of get started?
Well, Renee from CMTA and I last year did a test run, and it was a poker rally, and it was just northern Alberta. And it was so well received. It was, how can we build on this? And then when COVID hit, you have all of these little small places that really suffered with their travel services. So then the second question became, how can we get people into these businesses and small communities to see what they have to offer? And Rumble Alberta is what we came up with.
So for people who are interested in checking this out, maybe even just taking a look and digging for themselves, how can they find and access the different routes and buy the pass and stuff?
So it's all on rumblealberta.com. And there's 5 different regions of route maps available, as well as an adventure series. And right on the top left, it says buy your event pass. And if you're a business that wants to become involved and offer a special, we're still open to that too. Our email is cram full every day, so we're getting all those up on the map. The map always grows.
Awesome.
Maps, I should say.
Thank you so much, Sheila, for taking some time to talk with me today. Do you have anything else to add before we go?
We just want everybody to go out and let's rumble.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.